Alright, so this is the largest box that we have in the office that fits me. But wait a minute, we are having something really big here in our office.
Many tic-tacs later.
Now what you're seeing right here is not a TV, but it is an interactive whiteboard and signage by Samsung called the Flip Pro. It is available in screen sizes of 55 inches up to 85 inches, and this one right here is the 55-inch model. And there's a lot of interesting things about this thing that we need to talk about in today's video. So this isn't the first time that I have come across an interactive whiteboard. So what's interesting about the Flip Pro right here is that it runs on Samsung's Tizen OS just like its smart TVs. And look at this hardware design. It actually looks really nice as an interactive whiteboard. Imagine if this is in a classroom or meeting room. It just looks so minimalist and so nice as compared to some other interactive whiteboards out there. There's super thick bezels and they just look very dated as an interactive display. Now let's start off by talking about the hardware. Now as you can see, there's actually a thick bezel right over here, which I think Samsung could have actually slimmed down this part because it would have given it a larger screen estate. So this is definitely way larger than a typical 55-inch TV that you see out there because of this bezel and this black color bezel right here. The Flip Pro uses a matte texture panel here, which is actually very useful for classroom and meeting rooms because just in case light shines into your meeting room or classroom, it will not have any reflections. And by having a matte texture panel, it actually gives you a paper-like experience when you are scribbling on the interactive display, which is something very useful. But of course, one disadvantage of having such kind of panel is that they are not as bright as a typical TVs. So let's say if you're playing some videos and all that, it wouldn't look as impressive as it is on a regular TV. Another disadvantage of using such a panel is the limited viewing angles. Now notice that this whiteboard is currently on a movable stand, which Samsung sells it as a separate accessory. You can just simply mount it out and move along if you want to. Now notice that it actually has a slanting direction right here. It's actually slightly tilted, and the benefit of this stand is that you can actually simply just make it into a portrait display if you want to, which is actually really good. But the problem is, if let's say someone is sitting like on this side, like sitting on a chair and right on the side here, and if they view the display from this side, they will not able to see the content on the left side of the screen, which can be a problem if you have a full audience that's sitting like on the side and so on. They might not be able to see properly. So if you really want everyone to see the display clearly, the best way is to simply just mount this interactive whiteboard onto a wall, just like a TV. In terms of inputs, the Flip Pro has a generous amount of them, which includes HDMI, DisplayPort, USB ports, and even a USB-C port right on the front here. As you can see, this is a really convenient panel which you will need to purchase separately from Samsung, but I highly recommend that if you are looking at buying this interactive whiteboard, this is an essential accessory that you should purchase because it has two full-size USB-A ports, two USB Type-B ports, one full-size HDMI, as well as a USB-C port. So you do not need to go over to the side of the whiteboard to connect your cables and all that. You can simply just connect through the front, which is actually very useful if this display happens to be mounted on a wall. The Flip Pro comes with two styluses, and I think it's really generous of Samsung to do that. Now notice that they are attached magnetically onto the display, which is actually a really good storage for these styluses. Now they do not require any battery at all to operate, and I'm really impressed with the performance. It feels very smooth, there's very minimal delay, and in fact Samsung claims this is the shortest response time that you get on an interactive whiteboard at just 26 milliseconds. Now notice that when I'm holding like a regular pen, and if I draw on it, this is like the regular pen mode, and if I use the other end, the other tip, it becomes a highlighter. Now this is actually super impressive, and it's the first time that I am seeing such kind of stylus for an interactive whiteboard. And let's say if you want to erase everything that you've scribbled on the whiteboard, all you need to do is to just use your hands and just wipe it off just like a duster. You do not need a separate tool, or you do not even need another stylus or whatsoever to just clear off the display. Now, despite of the responsiveness of the stylus, you unfortunately can't rest your palm on the screen to scribble. Now, this is something that I think a lot of people will be concerned because some people can just write properly by just scribbling like this with your hands up, and some will prefer to like just rest their palm on the screen just like a paper and all that. So unfortunately, this does not come with any sort of palm rejection, and even if you rest your palm, you might accidentally wipe off content. So yeah, that is something that I think Samsung could probably improve on, but this is also probably because of the non-laminated display, which you can't actually do that at all. That's probably just my assumption, but yeah, this is something that Samsung could have really improved on. Now, let's take a look into the Flip Pro's features. So, like I mentioned earlier, this interactive whiteboard is powered by Samsung's Tizen operating system, which is the very same operating system that runs on its smart TVs. But unfortunately, despite having that operating system running at the background, you will not be able to install apps like Netflix and all that. That is totally disabled. There's no app store at all. So you're just limited to just drawing tools or even like import media sources from your mobile, PC, and Samsung Smart View Plus app, and even go to the web browser and capture something. So yeah, it is a really simple operating system, and I really love the responsiveness that it has here. Look at how smooth when I browse web pages right here. And if let's say I want to import this part of the web page onto the whiteboard, I can simply do so by just tapping on the capture screen here. And once it has captured a screenshot already, so what I can do here is to just head onto this display here. Let me just close the browser and tap on merge image, and it just goes into my whiteboard. It's just so simple, and I can start to do some annotations right here, just draw here, and if I don't like this entire screen here, all I need to do is to just wipe off like this, and everything will be cleared off. It's actually just as simple, and it is really fun to do all this drawing and all this, and it's really different from using a regular whiteboard. So as an interactive whiteboard, there's also some tools included, which is located at this tab right here. So let me just tap on it, and these are some of the tools that you get to use on this interactive whiteboard. So now we are in pen mode, and let's say if I head on over to brush mode, so I can choose between watercolor or oil painting, and let's choose watercolor for example. So it's gonna have this canvas here, and I'm gonna choose my color palette. Right, that's a new file creator. Let's choose yellow. Okay, and I can actually mix some colors, right? So let's do red, and if I draw it on top of here, you can see that it tries to blend into the yellow color, which is exactly like what a watercolor effect will do. And notice that in this brush mode, I no longer need to use the stylus, as I can just simply use my hands to run on the display here. And if I can just simply change my color as well, and let's try to blend in and see what happens. Look at this. This is just like a watercolor, the real watercolor right on the screen here, which is actually really interesting because if kids in the classroom like to draw and scribble on the whiteboard, I guess this is actually a pretty good canvas for them to do so. Now, I still remember back in my high school days, whenever my teacher wants to draw a line or any shapes on the whiteboard and they don't have the proper tool, they are not able to draw those shapes or lines properly unless those are like super experienced teachers. But with the Samsung Flip Pro, you no longer need to worry about that because it has this math tool right here, which I find it particularly useful for people who are not good at drawing shapes and so on. So let's pick this ruler tool for example. So this is the ruler tool. I can simply just draw a line on the top here, and it is one straight line. And if I want to draw another line, simply just move the ruler down all through other spaces that I want and just draw a line right on top. There's simply no need to hold something right here to use it as a guide to draw. It's really just that straightforward. Now, there are also some other math tools as well. So let's pick this triangle shaped ruler. I guess this is actually familiar to many of you guys right there, and especially for those of you who are architects and engineers, I believe this is a tool that you will still use a lot these days. So just like the ruler, you simply just draw on the side and voila, look at it. Even when I draw out of the frame, it guides me back to the shape. This is actually very, very impressive and a very useful tool that I think many people will love. Another feature that I really like about this interactive display is this note on feature, which is actually a note that is on top of this layer. So I can simply just draw something right here, or just say triangle, for instance, like a note on top of this drawing right here. So once I'm done and I simply tap on save, and it can be saved as a captured image so that it doesn't affect my original drawing. So notice that it is now captured into a separate picture already, and let's just close it. And if I happen to go back to my previous display here, and it's back to the same triangle. Notice that you do not have that triangle wording that I just wrote on top. So this is very useful for people who wants to make like extra note on an existing drawing and doesn't want to affect the original drawing or notes that you have written on the board. So when you have drawn a lot of things or scribbled a lot of things on this whiteboard, it will generally be saved into its built-in memory. You can save a lot of things right inside. Let's head on over to the row browser here. So you can save lots of rows here. So this is something that's different from a traditional whiteboard where you can save anything at all, because once the next person uses it, you gotta rub off everything and the person have to restart everything again. So right here you can save a lot of rows. I'm not sure how many, but I'm sure the built-in memory can save hundreds of rows without any issues. And this is the number of things that I have basically drawn on this interactive whiteboard, and I can just simply head on to, let's say, this one, and it simply just loads up. And let's say if you want to export it into your computer or into a flash drive, you can easily do so by just tapping on this tab here and tap on export, and you can send it via email, print it out, or save it into a USB flash drive, or send it to just your mobile device. And once you actually export it, it will be exported into PDF file format, which is a very good format as compared to JPEG or even PNG. The Flip Pro has two other convenient features that I really like, and it is the mini board, which is like a sticky note right here that you can put it onto a particular row that you want to, and the other feature would be the search feature. Now this search is not to search for any other rows that you have actually saved on the whiteboard here, but rather it is to perform a web search. So let's say if I type KLGadgetTV, for instance, and when I tap on search, it actually just calls out the web browser and does a Google search. So I can easily just go online and see what I've searched for, go to the website and capture that screen and merge it into my whiteboard. Aside from wire inputs, the Flip Pro also supports wireless streaming from Apple AirPlay and mirrorcasting. So I'm going to do an AirPlay to the screen right now. So let's just pull down my settings here and let's head on over to screen mirroring and tap on this 55-inch interactive signage flip. All right, and this window is going to pop up in a bit. So there we go. This is the AirPlay window. It's pretty fast and straightforward. And as you can see, it is really smooth as what you would expect from AirPlay streaming. So let's just simply play a video, shall we? Let's head on over to YouTube and we're going to play a video, which is our Lenovo Yoga 9i review that we just did very recently. Now notice that it is actually really good when it comes to visual quality. Like I say, it's not the brightest that you've seen out there, but it's definitely sufficient for indoor meeting rooms and all that. Now notice that now that I'm actually viewing a YouTube video right now, there's no way that I can do a screen capture right here. That's because it is a copyrighted content. So as long as you're playing some video content on the screen, you will not be able to do any sort of screen capture right here. So to call a selection, all you need to do is to press the power button right at the bottom of the screen here, and this menu will pop up right here. So notice that I can't tap on select or whatsoever to select one part of the screen to capture. But once I exit the app here, let's say I stop this video and I go back to my main screen, you can see that this select option becomes available so that I can simply just tap on it and choose a part that I want to capture. For example, this part, tap on capture, and it is saved into my whiteboard storage. Probably the most impressive feature of the Samsung Flip Pro as compared to other interactive whiteboards out there is its Smart View Plus feature, where you can mirror up to 6 displays from a smartphone or a computer onto this display itself, which is actually great for collaboration if you want to have an interactive session in a meeting room, on a classroom, and everybody is just showing different things right there. So in order to use this feature, all you need to do is to download the Samsung Signage mobile app on your Android or iOS device, or for your PC, you can just simply launch a web browser and enter the IP address right here. Overall, I am very impressed with what the Samsung Flip Pro has to offer. But if I were to nitpick just one thing, that would be its speakers. They sounded so tiny that I wonder if it can actually fill a meeting room, because here's a sound test and you guys be the judge. So yeah, you might just want to connect an external speaker if you're playing sound to a big audience. And speaking of speakers, Unfortunately, the HDMI inputs of this signage does not support HDMI ARC, so you will not be able to connect to any high quality soundbars out there, so you'll be limited to a speaker with a 3.5mm input or simply just a Bluetooth connection. So yeah, that sums up my thoughts on the Samsung Flip Pro. It is a really great interactive whiteboard that I highly recommend that you go check out if you're interested in getting one of it for your office or classroom. It is not available in consumer channels, but it is only available at Samsung's business partners, which I'll leave a link below if you're interested in getting one. However, I did find out that this interactive whiteboard is also available on Shopee, where the 55-inch model costs as much as 10,000 ringgit, but there's just one seller that I'm listing it right now. They're only selling for 7,900 ringgit for the 55-inch model, which I think is pretty reasonably priced for a interactive whiteboard. I mean, you do not expect it to be priced like a regular 55-inch TV, right? So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos coming right up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.